Right. Good morning, everyone. So, what are we gathered here today to share? And I've been talking to so many people over the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks since I've seen you on this Energizer platform that are going through so much trauma and anxiety and it's not just in South Africa, it's around because I've got clients that talk to me around the world. It's also around the world. It's not just here. And when I come and sit here with you, I normally ask for guidance as to what is the best way to proceed in order to give you a message or some words from my heart, because they're not always only my own words. I also go and gather words in terms of how I'm guided to come and share with you, because there's just infinite possibilities and there's so much available. But when we go into these spaces of negative emotions, and I've been looking and looking and looking to see if I can't find another word to replace negative emotions. But unfortunately I can't. I can't find a word that's going to encapsulate it as well as negative emotions. So, because I avoid using words that have become a cliche, because the psyche just goes, yeah, yeah. And that's not what I want. I want us to use semantics that's going to wake the psyche up, that's going to raise us and bring us into a state of ascension so that we can rise above these everyday challenges and literally live in another dimension of consciousness. Because I think dimensionality is a reality that we now need to embrace, because time and space as we know it is fast disappearing. And if it's true that we do live in a simulation, in a virtual reality, like some people are speculating to be the case, and if you listen to what the people are doing in CERN in Switzerland with the Hadron Collider and the Higgs boson particle, then it's been speculated that they have discovered dimensionality, that they've discovered other dimensions by their research with the Higgs boson particle, because the Higgs boson particle came to our reality in order to teach us about other dimensions, because the human race wouldn't accept that that's possible. Just like, with Galileo and all those people that came before, it wasn't accepted that it was possible that these things that they were advocating could be true. The earth is flat, it's not round. The earth is the sun is moving around the earth. We are the center of all of creation. And so all of those things have been shown to us to be different to what we believe them to be. So perhaps we are also now being shown that we need to prepare ourselves for dimensionality. And when you look at what's been taught over the years, over many years, on the fact that we are multidimensional beings, that we have lived, that there's such a thing as incarnation, and that we have lived before. And there are many, even in the Bible, there are many places where it shows us that reincarnation is a reality. And if you look at the research that's being done in America with a very well-known child psychiatrist that is researching children that are born and can remember where they were before they were received this body that they currently occupy. So it's a wonderful art. It doesn't mean that you must believe it. It means that you must hold it as a possibility, because we live on an earth with an infinite number of possibilities, because it's part of an infinite cosmos. And if you look at all the pictures that are being sent from all these magical telescopes, then there is nothing else that we can do but to accept that the vastness of possibility also applies to us. And yet what we choose to do is we hold the burden of negative emotions as the way in which, or the only way in which, we can navigate and constellate this journey called life. and I'm just stirring my coffee. I trust that you're also having a lovely coffee this morning. So let's do a cheers with our coffee and just give ourselves permission to receive our highest good. I give myself permission to receive my highest good. I give myself permission to be pleasantly surprised in every moment, every day of my life. Why not? Why can't we just be pleasantly surprised and experience things so that we know that life is caring for us? Life cares for life. When your life becomes such that it's an example to others, that it's a contribution to life itself, you are not living life, you are life. Life cares for life. And it's by sitting in a space like this, by investing in yourself, by looking at the possibilities that you have, by speaking the word, by having the intent, by using your heart, this wonderful, wonderful organ that you have in the center of your chest here, that has its own neurotransmitters, it has its own brain, if you like. It communicates with you all the time. But what happens between these two temples here, that is also a sacred space, and it's meant to be aligned with your heart so that this opens up. When this opens up, your wisdom, your grace, your blessings, the sacredness of all can process through you. And when you start living like that, and all it requires is three things: your willingness to be available and to have the capacity. And how do you have the capacity? You need to have the capacity by opening yourself up to the good of your own life. Because if you don't believe that your life holds good for you and you live with the burden of negative emotions, you cannot expect your life to work. And the most interesting thing is that in a situation like this, in the words that I'm sharing with you, it's the people that needed to hear that the most that refuse to attend and to be in the space, because their level of denial has become so great. I'm skeptical, I'm cynical, it's not for me. And yet when you look at their life and you look at the burden of negative emotions and how heavily invested they are on having those negative emotions, on having those burdens. It's not possible to force such a person or such a choice in your own circle, in where you are, when you can see, when you can look at a person and you can see. But it's so simple. If only they change this, if only they change that. The minute you use the words if only, you're in trouble. Don't go there. There was one of I think it was Engelbert Humperdinck that actually wrote a song about the word if. It's a very destructive place to go with your thoughts. If only and what if. So let's begin. Cheers on a wonderful good life. So the burden of negative emotions. Negative emotions are the main cause of self-sabotage. And self-sabotage is in any way that you act, that you think, that you feel, that prevents you from achieving your dreams, your divinity, your divine self, your angel self. It's not a religious statement. It's not a place that you're going to arrive at. It's a state of being. And whether you disregard that it's available or that it's a place that you even want to go to, that is ultimately the path, the ascension that's going to happen for each one of us. And some are going to resist it and rebel against it, and it will take much longer for them. And for others that bring their willingness, they're available and they have the capacity. Because capacity you only get when you work for it. So they have the capacity, and when you sabotage yourself, you take action based on negative emotions like fear and worry. And even now, not just fear and worry, but fear and panic intense anxiety is panic. When the anxiety becomes so overwhelming that your body, your whole system just cuts out, that's panic. Because in a state of panic, it feels like you're not going to make it, that your actual life is threatened. So you use self-sabotage when you talk yourself out of doing something that requires stepping out of your comfort zone. So I'll say that to you again. You use self-sabotage when you talk yourself out of doing something that requires stepping out of your comfort zone. If you are like most people, you have a dream or a deep desire that you want to achieve. Interesting, before I started this morning, I was communicating with someone who's swimming via someone who's swimming the English Channel right now at this moment. And it's a dream for them that they're making come true. So if you like most people on the earth, you have a dream or you have a deep desire you want to achieve, a heart's wish. You know that you have to take new action and meet new people and go to new places, but you're unable to do so due to your fear. So you come up with excuses why you cannot do what you know is the best thing for you, because it feels very uncomfortable. You come up with excuses why you cannot do what you know is the best thing for you, especially when you're skeptical and when you're cynical. I mean, then you must listen to the way that uncomfortableness is expressed. It feels so uncomfortable that all of those other things come on board. You allow this feeling of uneasiness to be your driver. And the driver makes the decision. And the driver, in a most negative state, wants to do nothing. It wants to be absent. And it wants you to stay just where you are, passive. That's why some people become passive aggressive, because they're not even moving, but they're angry, they're aggressive, because they're so uncomfortable where they are. You also engage in negative self-talk and convince yourself that you don't have what it takes to move forward in life. That somehow, there's so many things against you. There's so many things that say that it's not going to happen for you. It's true. Oh, I'm not right. It's true. People keep saying to me, "You're right. You're so right." I said, "No, I'm not. I don't want to be right. It's true." And I'm really not vested in having a huge following. I'm not vested in having a lot of people that, I'm interested in people that want to change their life for real. I'm interested in having people in this audience that are really serious about having a wonderful life. And let me assure you, there's a tremendous amount of energy invested in this message not going out. Even the go-to platform is crashing at the moment like it's never done before. So that's also part of my negative thoughts that says, I'm not going to reach the people. It's almost like a kind of urgency that sits with me. You're not reaching enough people. You're not getting this message to enough people. And I see a lot of people on the internet that are bringing messages to people these days. And with some of it, I just totally cringe because I just cannot understand how a person with such intent, where they want to take consciousness to, can have such a huge following that people do not see the truth. And let those who have the eyes to see, see, and let those who have the ears to hear, hear, because you now need to start living with utmost discernment, because there's a lot on offer, and your soul is at stake. Your very continuation as a being beyond this body is at stake. So, just give me a moment. Just take this off here. Mute. There we go. I thought there was a little bit of a interruption in the background. So let's continue. You also engage in negative self-talk. And please, I'm including myself here. I'm not sitting here preaching to you. I don't judge people. It's not in my nature. What you do is what you do. But you also engage in negative self-talk and convince yourself that you don't have what it takes to move forward in life. You know? Inyala Vasant is a very interesting woman. She's an American woman, Black American woman. She talks to Oprah a lot. I regard her as Oprah's teacher, because when I hear Oprah speak, I hear Inyala Vasant speaking, because that's what happens to you and your teacher. You start speaking like your teacher because of the vocabulary and because of the way that truth is expressed. Inyala says, she's a wonderful woman. You must be aware what's in your cup. And you must be able to discern between fact and truth. Because, she says, what's in my cup is for me. And what overflows from this cup is for you all. That's how she expresses it. What's in the cup is for me. What comes out of the cup is for you all. But first I make sure that my cup is full. Because it's the same old saying, if you don't place that oxygen mask firmly over your own nose and mouth, you cannot assist fellow passengers. And that oxygen mask is also the way you talk to yourself. The way you talk to yourself steals your oxygen, it steals your life. You can't be of any use to fellow passengers if you're not well, if your cup is not full. Life cares for life. And no one is exempt. Life cares for life. Life cares for that which ensures its own continuation. It's been like that before humans were on this planet. It's got nothing to do with humans or race or culture or anything like that. It's got to do with the way that the earth works. The earth has a certain code of conduct. It's governed by creation laws. And if you don't want to accept those laws, it's your problem, but life is going to kick you to pieces. You just have to see what's happening, what humans are doing to humans, because that's the as above, so below. That's what life is doing to you if you do not. You've got to conform. You've got to be willing. You've got to be available. You've got to have the capacity to be able to operate in a system called Earth. And if you don't have it and you want to sit with the burden of negative emotions, life is not going to look after you because you are not making a contribution. So that's why I choose to talk about the burden of negative emotions today, because I cannot believe how people are wallowing in negative emotions. That's the worst part of it, because their lives are fucking amazing. Let me tell you. Amazing. And if you are like most people, you have a dream or a deep desire you want to achieve. If, if you know that you have to meet new people, if you know that you have to go to new places, but you do not do any of that stuff because you are so deeply ensconced in fear. Whether it's fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of making a fool of yourself, fear of it won't happen for me, fear of there's no opportunities in this world for me, whatever the fear is that you're holding, it stops you from living your dreams. And when you overcome that fear and when you start giving yourself permission to receive your highest good, your life changes. It's not what I'm sitting here saying to impress you. It's the truth because people are living it. And we are now called, all of us, to awaken to this fact, because if you're not going to, you are going to be left behind. And once you get left behind, you can't catch up anymore. Those days are over. There's a new way that conduct is now required on earth since COVID. Since COVID, the earth will never be the same again. That was the turning point. And COVID was not a pandemic. COVID was an event. And in that event, everything changed for humans on earth. Whatever that means, I don't know, because I'm not one of those that, advocate certain beliefs and certain, and I want to be an activist. The only thing I want to be an activist about is the way that old women like me, old people like me that are still working and providing for themselves, is taxed in this country by this government that don't even have respect for a person that's been paying taxes all their lives and they are in their old age still providing for themselves. I think it's a disgrace that I have to pay so much tax to a government that should now be looking after me for all that I've contributed. That's a story for another day. You see, that's the only thing I really am passionate about because it's the truth. When it comes time for you to take action in the direction of your deepest heart's wishes, not goals. Goals are optional. Mostly goals are optional because they don't normally happen unless you're very driven. But when you make it a heart's wish, when you make it like in a fairy tale, you make a wish. Just let it sink in for a moment. Just let it sink in for a moment what you've heard so far this morning. And take a good look in the mirror and see if you see yourself there. Because another important aspect of this journey is that you must be able to admit what you are doing to yourself. Nobody can do it for you. You must be able to take ownership of the things that you live because you are choosing to live them, not someone else. No one is forcing you. And even if you are living the worst of possible conditions, fact versus truth. Oh, I'm just a single mom and I can't, No, that's a fact. The truth is, when I trust myself, when I know and I know what I'm capable of, I'm a self-sufficient woman and I can provide for my family and I'm strong and I can do this life on my own. That's the truth. I'm an established, accomplished woman. I'm an accomplished, established man because there are also fathers that are single parents, not just women. And it's not even about gender, it's about being human. You don't consciously think in terms of sabotaging, yourself or your life. It's an unconscious mechanism. It's thoughts that are happening in your head all the time. So you consciously think more in terms of limitation, limiting thoughts, limiting beliefs, inevitably triggers the negative feelings in your body, and the moods, and the indecisiveness, and the procrastination, and the unworthiness. I mean, really? And then, even though you know it's not true, you don't seem to be able to change it. It's just taken complete control of you. You know, someone called it, I'm in the grips of it. And I don't know when it's going to let me go. In the grips of what? You have the power to speak your word. You have free will. You can. When you are willing, when you are available, you must first be willing. You must be willing to give permission to what's going to happen here. I give myself permission to receive my highest good. I give myself permission because you are an authority in your world. You are the only one living this reality. No one else is. No one can taste you. No one can choose you. No one can smell you. No one can hear you. Only you. Only this body. And this body will only exist once. Not you, because you are occupying. This is your car. This is your vehicle. But you are the driver. And like I explained to someone the other day, the vehicle has 4 wheels. In this instance, the family had 4 members. Those wheels can't drive next to each other like this and be one. Each wheel must be on the side of the vehicle, and it must have its own axis. It can't have just one axis. We must be like one. What is this that people hold about relationships and marriage, that it must be like one? You know, we must just be like attached at the hip. That's not how it works here. You are 2 independent lives that choose to come together to make the journey easier for each other. Not to contribute with negative emotions, the burden of carrying all these negativity and negative feelings with you in life. What for? So let's continue and explore a little bit more. When it comes to you and time for you to take action in the direction of your goals, you feel jaded. So the pure thought of doing something that involves change or going outside what's familiar and comfortable creates a true state of panic. Thank you. So let's continue with where I started. When it comes time for you to take action in the direction of your goals, in the direction of your heart's wishes, you feel jaded. The pure thought of doing something that involves change or going outside of what's familiar and comfortable creates a true state of panic, of anxiety, and of total insecurity. I had a session with someone in another country this week, outside of South Africa, that was in a complete panic attack, complete state of panic. And by the end of our session of 1 hour, she was great. Because it was all a process happening by thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. But it's not possible for you to change thoughts on your own. You need to come and sit in spaces like this, and I offer it free twice a month. All you need to do is to come and be present, because I can't expect you to receive a gift from this if you make no effort. Because although life is effortless, you need to participate. You need to make yourself available. And then you must give yourself the capacity to receive what's on offer. if it's going to be in your best interest for your highest good. Because that's the way it works here. You must sow to reap. So it's easy to put it on YouTube or to make a recording and make it available to everyone. But I can tell you now, the people who are listening to the recording are not receiving as much as the person who is attending, who's present. And interestingly enough, in our master class, we had a participant in one of the courses that I attended from Australia, and the time exchange was so, when we met at 6 o'clock here in the afternoon in South Africa, the time zone was something early hours of the morning for them in Australia. And he said the one day, he said, I wake up in the morning to come and sit here in person because I realize that when I watch the recording, I don't get the same value. It's not the same. So being present, don't underestimate the power that your presence represents in life. Your presence, just being there, you don't have to do anything, but your presence is required. That's the first thing that you must know. And your presence doesn't require you to believe that you've got confidence or you've got this or that. Your presence is your body's there and you are present. Not your body's there and you somewhere else in your head. You are there and you are present and you are aware. You are aware of your environment. That's where the word aware comes from, with that they use in the Western Cape. Because it comes from awareness. And awareness is a real gift. So if we can give each other awareness, that's a wonderful gift. But awareness is about truth. It's what is. It's the isness of life. So here's a few examples. And again, I reassure you that I'm not judging you because I teach best what I need to learn most. So I'm very much talking to myself. So here are some examples. You postpone doing something because you don't feel ready. This is negative emotions. You postpone something because you don't feel ready. And let me tell you now, you'll begin with this thought. And now you'll embroider on it and you'll unpack it and you'll just keep going with it. You'll just keep going with it. And you make it so much worse than what it really is. Because the more you can unpack it and the more you can embroider it and the more you can make it difficult for you, the more you believe in a reverse way that it will motivate you, that it will get you off your ass. Because there's nothing in our lives that's not good for us. So even the negative emotions is meant for you to awaken and for you to take action. It wants to spur you on, because sometimes in the work that I choose to do, it's necessary to shock people out of their slumber and their unconscious denial. And when I shock them, I very often never see them again, but their lives change. They awaken. Because it's not important for me what people are going to do with their life. It's their life. But I want to know that their life is working. I want to know for myself. The result is my reward. And when your life works, then I know that I'm true to myself, because that's what I devote myself to, that your life must work. I'm not here for money, and I'm not here for the masses. I'm here for people who are serious about living a good life. So let's continue. I want to read for you just a small piece by a lady called Mel Robbins. I think Mel Robbins is a psychiatrist. I don't know much about her background, but she's a wonderful, beautiful woman with great presence and a wonderful speaking style. And I'm going to quote her. It's not verbatim, but as close as possible, because I want to respect her for what she's sharing with the world. She's a wonderful teacher. She's also written several books. So now more than ever, we need to reassure ourselves and the people we encounter. Some of our loved ones. I don't think this is Mel Robbins yet. Let me just see. Oh no, I was just wondering, why does it sound like my words? These are still my words. I'll tell you when I get to Mel Robbins. This was just my prelude that I wrote to what I wanted to share with you. I suppose when it's one of these theses, it would have a little one in brackets, and then you can read the real meaning at the bottom. But I still may include it. So now, more than ever, we need to reassure ourselves and people we encounter. Some of our loved ones, some are dear friends and acquaintances, some are just strangers. And you know, a stranger is just a friend you do not know. Most of the time, we meet a stranger and they become one of our best friends. So a stranger is just a friend you do not know. We don't always need advice. Sometimes all that we need is a hand to hold and an ear to listen to, and to have a considerate heart to offer reassurance and appreciation. And then we start to make impact choices. When you come from a place of a considerate heart and a disposition that offers reassurance and appreciation generously, then you make impact choices. Then you become life. And life cares for life, because life is a caring process. It's ruthless, but it's caring. And it only operates with truth, with the isness, and it always considers. That's one of the reasons that this life offers us the experience of death, because it's a planet of decay. Things need to decay in order to make space for what comes as new. Because there's a globe. It's a contained sphere. It only has space for so much. So it needed the process of decay in order to maintain itself and to be able to make sure it's going to continue. Because if it becomes too full and there's too much happening on this globe, the globe itself can cease to exist. So we are in that epoch of time. Us humans, we are in that epoch of time where the earth is in critical mass. So there's a critical mass of things being too much. And that includes people with too much money too, let me tell you. Because when they have too much, they lose their senses. Now the earth is in a place where we all need a hand to hold. And an ear to listen. And a considerate heart. And please, I'm not sitting here now advocating that you must go and save every person that you find on the streets. Those people are on the streets because they've lived a certain level of life that's put them there. There are some people on the street that I suppose have had no other choice. But even then, there's always a way. Life always gives you a way when you have a considerate heart. But at the moment, what is happening is those without the considerate heart are being challenged in ways that's beyond measure. And it's happening to some of the people that you have in your life, your loved ones, acquaintances, people that you've worked with. You see things happening in people's lives that is just untold. You have to consider that there's a process going on this earth, and what you sow, you reap. No one is exempt. And there's always a bigger picture. No one is better than anyone. That's not how it works here. And when there is a hierarchical system, it is to preserve the whole. And if you want to learn about hierarchy, you should watch hyenas in the wild. That's what hierarchy is about. It's a ruthless, beyond measure, ruthless process. It's untold. It has to be experienced to know what it really means. And I cannot imagine being a hyena, thank you. I'm very grateful that's not part of my experience. The observer does not have to become the object. and the observer can never become the object. We are living in an era where reassurance and appreciation is the driver. And if you don't have the ability to reassure and appreciate, your life's not going to work. Because you now need to reassure and appreciate each other more than ever. It's not my rule. For those who refuse to accept that this is the case, life will deal with them. Their life is their message. No one is exempt of that. Your life is your message. If your message in your life is that things are not working, you need to change. And change means that something needs to discontinue. People expect that change doesn't have to make any difference. They're not going to do anything differently, but they're going to experience change. It's not how it works here. For something to change, something must end. It must stop. It must cease to be. There must be a complete discontinue. Then there is change. Change is discontinue. It doesn't happen any other way, people. And things now need to change in your life so that the macrocosm can also change. The microcosm is the macrocosm. The macrocosm is the microcosm. That's not my rule. It's how it works here. And we need to now take that into consideration in every one of our choices. That when you make a choice, your microcosm is the macrocosm. That's the life that we're all going to live. The level of negative emotion that you are allowing in your life. It's not just your stuff. It influences the whole. The earth, the whole process here is in crisis. Not the process for the earth itself, but for humans. Mother Earth is not concerned whether there were dinosaurs or not dinosaurs, or humans or not humans. She's going to continue. But the human race, being human as you know yourself now, that's a great risk of discontinuing completely so that change can happen, because we as humans are not changing. And change will happen with or without us. And there's a lot of presence on the earth at the moment that people also don't want to acknowledge. We are being shown a lot of things, and some people are just in total denial of it. Denial is the reason why we are where we're at. Denial is the source of core addiction. Denial is the source of core habits. Denial is the source of core behavior. Denial is the source of core beliefs. This world is in a total state of denial. No one wants to take ownership of their life. Somebody else must do it for them. They'll go see a therapist. I said to someone this week, if you are not going to change your life, do not come and sit with me, because I don't want to take your money and not see you grow. If you're going to exchange energy with me, I want to see the results in your life. Otherwise, don't waste my time. I'm working with people who are serious about their lives. And if you don't want to listen to what I have to say today, you're welcome to go. Because it's time that people sit up and be told the truth. And not because everyone's just being so nice so that they can have a follower, that they can be seen as an influencer. No. Mel Robbins is one of those that you can go listen to. This woman is fearless in her truth. 5 mistakes, she says, everyone makes when they're trying to change their life. You're waiting to feel ready. It's not happening. She says it's not happening. No one's coming. And I realized this week that because I've been self-sufficient since the age of 17, I've never ever been looked after by anyone. Not provided for, not even for a week. No one's coming, Charlotte. No one's going to come and help you with IT or do. Yeah, you're talking to people today and go to, you found that by yourself. No one showed you. And I'm sitting and I'm crying because I can't do things because I'm waiting for someone to come and assist me. It's not going to happen. If I'm not going to get the knowledge myself and do something by myself to gain what I want for myself, I must go find and make it happen. It's not going to happen. No one's coming. I'm waiting to be ready. I'm waiting to feel ready. It's not happening. And Mel Robbins says, motivation is garbage. It's garbage. I've been saying it my whole life. Thank you. Thank you. Here's another person that says the same thing. Motivation is garbage because it's never there when you need it. That's what Mel says. Because it's never there when you need it. That's the truth. You don't remember things unless it's your truth. If it's not true for you, you're going to dismiss it. It's going straight into file 13. And then it's going to be replaced with more negative emotions. And here she says, you spend all your time talking about it except doing it. Huh? You talk about how shit your life is and how shit things are and how bad it is and how much you're suffering and how much you're missing your ex-husband and, and how much whatever. But boy, oh boy, you're going to find a reason why you're going to make yourself unhappy, for sure. You spend all your time talking about it. And there's a rule for worry. There's a rule for worry. Simple, very simple. All of life's very simple. There's a rule for worry. If you can do something about it, then do something about it. Don't worry about it. If there's something you can do about it, go do something about it. If there's nothing you can do about it, drop it. No amount of worrying is going to secure your future. You've got to live it. There's no other way. And for those people who think that they can commit suicide and they can check out, let me tell you, they come back as a retarded person that can't take their own life. They have to live it. Or as an autistic child who can't integrate with this world. They can't provide for themselves. They can't make that choice to take their own life again. But they're highly gifted, highly gifted, because they chose not to live those gifts in the life that they ended, because they were so afraid of their own pain, because of their own negative emotions that they didn't deal with. They opted for suicide. And Mel Robbins says, you are not an expert in change. We are all eternal students. I don't think she used the word eternal students, but I do. She says we are all students. But we are eternal students. You never stop being a student. You're constantly learning something about yourself. The journey is committed for life to know yourself so that you can ascend in your consciousness, that you don't need to integrate and incarnate into situations where you've got to deal with so much struggle and suffering. In order to wake you up, to have awareness. We are all eternal students because we're born in forgetfulness in order to see if we've learned what we've learned before. In another lifetime, in a parallel dimension, have you now got it? That's why people move from one dimension into the next like that these days. Someone shared with me that it felt like they were in this dark place and everything was on fire and they were just running and running and running the whole time. And that was what they were experiencing in their reality. But they were on this earth. And when they came out of a mental hospital, Marie von France said to Jung, she said, yo, that woman is really crazy because she believes she's walking on the moon. And Jung looked at her and said, she is walking on the moon. Because she's in another dimension. He never explained it that way, but he just said to her, she is walking on the moon. And I've recently learned that some amazing things about Jung, which I always felt about him, but I never spoke it. And it's been validated for me in so many ways. And Jung is certainly one of my masters in terms of the human psyche. And I love depth psychology. I love it. I love going deep within the psyche and discovering the treasures that we're so afraid to find. You are not an expert in change, says Mel Robbins. We are all students. Know it all. Your rightness, I know it all. Nobody can tell me anything. Your stubbornness, your insistence that things are bad for you, that things are never going to come right for you. That know-it-all rightness is ego-driven. When the ego takes over, it constantly eases the good out. It's not my rule. The ego is meant to show you by what it's taking away from your life what you should be doing for yourself. That's the paradox. Because both is true. We're sometimes down, we're sometimes up. Both is true. You've been sad and you've been happy. It's a paradox. But the greater this paradox is, the closer you are to the truth, because you are the one who's choosing what is true for you. This was taught to me by my teacher, John, who's now in spirit. So I'm sure he's present here with us today. Thank you, John, for all your teachings. You know it all. Your rightness, says Mel Robbins, is ego-driven. And I've been teaching since the beginning that the ego is easing the good out. And the next thing Mel Robbins says is, I need to learn about what I need to do. I need to learn about what I need to do. You can't just attempt to live your life without educating yourself about yourself. You must know yourself to trust yourself. Because that's what we believe. We need to know something before we can trust it. Because there's no reason why you can't trust yourself right away. Your whole life is proof of it. You've always been good to yourself. You've always looked after yourself. Otherwise, you won't be sitting here today. You've preserved yourself. You got through it. Besides, life never gives you more than you can handle, but that's a story for another day. So you need to learn about what you need to do. And you're trying to do it alone. You want to show, most little kids at a very young age choose and they decide, I don't want anyone. I don't need, fuck the world. I don't need anyone. That was one of my choices when I was very young. I decided that I need no one. And I was very angry with this world that I found myself in because I was so disappointed. Because I grew up in a family that fought with each other every day. And I just couldn't understand why people were so cruel to each other. So emotion was something that was very, very strange and very new for me as a child. And I was abused since the time that I was born. My mother abused me as well as my brothers. My mother told me how they pinned no, I don't even want to go there. So you're trying to do it alone. You see how quickly negative thoughts take over. My God, even in me, look how quickly it was transported back to something that was so terrible that happened. It's in the past. Why must I now bring it up for myself to relive? I even cringed at the thought. Huh? It's not necessary. Those things are not happening to me anymore. My life is safe. I am safe. I've grown up for many, many years, 60 years, 70 years after that. I've grown and I have been free of such experiences. Why do I want to bring it onto myself by what I'm thinking? And even now what I'm sharing with you, there's no need. And she says, you need to learn about what you need to do, and you're trying to do it alone. You need to get into classes, she says. You need to find support groups, she says. You need to get into circles of friends that are of You know, they are of like mind. They are of like heart. They are of like doing. They're of like life. Whether online or offline, she says, and you need to join groups where you can feel uplifted and find that alignment within yourself again. That are with you on this journey of changing. It's not easy, but it's effortless when you get it. Because when you get it, you can give it. And when you give it, you get it. Life cares for life. And the next thing she says, and thank you, Nivzi, for sharing this with me. I love it. So the next thing she says, you are not celebrating your progress. You are not celebrating yourself. Be good to yourself. Reassure yourself. Appreciate yourself. That's what the world needs now. And you need to do it for yourself first. You know, there's things about yourself that you don't like, things about yourself that doesn't work for you. But reassure yourself. Don't feel so bad about it. It's not the end of the world. It's just a thought, and a thought can be changed. But you first need to be reassured by it and not just negatively reinforced. Negatively reinforced. Since the day you were born, everything was just no. Don't touch that. Don't do that. If you do that, you're going to get injured. No, 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 no. Everything negative reinforcement, negative emotions. That's how we learn. We don't learn through positive, uplifting way. It's even I check with my puppies. I'm even teaching them with negative reinforcement. Sometimes, they're confused because now they must be outside and then they're not allowed inside and then they must be outside because it's difficult with puppies when I'm working. And now, since I've accepted and I've changed the way that I create the context of the situation for myself, it's changed. Listen to them, they're sleeping. And now they'll probably wake up, cancel that thought. I always laugh at the wildlife photographers when I watch these wild earth shows that takes you on the safari with the guy on the vehicle. It feels like you're in the bush. It's too wonderful. Thank you, Lauren, for introducing me into that. So to be in that moment, and then they want to photograph this animal, and then suddenly the animal's just not cooperating. Shame, and my heart goes out to them because I know the puppies are doing it to me too. So one of the things I want you to see is that you find such good excuses now why it's not a good time. Especially in the times that we're living, it's a recession and, the interest rates are rising and now you find such good excuses and reasons to feel guilty because now it's not a good time. Really? Are you really taking into consideration who you are? Because if you are taking into consideration who you are and you still feel the same, do something about it. But if you evaluate your life is your message. If you evaluate your life and you acknowledge, reassure, and appreciate the contribution that you represent up until this moment, give yourself a break. Give yourself a reason to live an easier life. Give yourself an accolade, an entitlement. Then you create capacity for good stuff to find you again. Because if you're constantly going to find good excuses why now is not a good time, if this moment is a threat, how on earth can your future be a pleasure? You can't shift from this. Energy doesn't work like that on earth, people. You can't shift from an ultra negative place into a super positive place just because. And people say to me, I don't believe in magic. But the fuck you expect magic. I've just woken the puppies up. I'm sorry. I was a bit passionate there. So I just want you to, I'm not screaming at you. I'm just very passionate when I speak. So sorry, puppies. Sorry, puppies. Oh, now we're stretching. So now the action's going to start. You see, there I manifested it anyway, what I said, because I didn't cancel the thought. So you find good excuses why now is not a good time. And you consult with people who will support you and help you. This is where you get help to sabotage yourself. Because when you get support, you always grow from it. But when you get help, you sabotage yourself. You always fall deeper into the hole. Because, when you reach out to help people in a stormy sea, they bite your hand. They bite your hand. They want to be in the stormy sea. You consult with people who will help you sabotage yourself. These are the words of people that absolutely know. Yeah, I'm not talking about Mel Robbins. Yeah, we're continuing our discussion of earlier, where we looked at the way that our negative emotions constantly impact us. And now I've even misplaced the sheet. Okay, so we continue. This process happens to you in such a way that you are not fully conscious of it. That's the whole dilemma, is that we operate on a daily basis in a function or functionality that's not quite conscious. We're not quite conscious of it. You don't have the awareness. You are in a state of misconception that makes you attend your immediate uncomfortable feeling. So in other words, you're constantly looking at this negative emotion. That's where you're constantly focused. This is, by the way, no longer the words of Mel Robbins. Now we're continuing with my Sunday Energizer. The proper context is lost when you sit in a negative state of mind, when you're looking for the problems that you can feel bad about. The proper context is lost. You give in to the feeling. The feeling says, I'm lost. The feeling says, I can't do this. The feeling says, you're incompetent. The feeling says, you're insignificant. The feeling says, you're rejected. And I can go on and on and on. You know exactly what I mean. And the more you accommodate the feeling, the more the feeling turns into anger. When it comes into the state of anger, it becomes enraged. But it finds no expression. So it's capped, it's closed in, it's locked into your system, it's trapped, it's trauma that is trapped in your body. Most people don't release this. And they've never had a process where they can release it in a safe space because it needs to be released. And now there's also clips making the round that says your tears releases toxins from your body that no other system in your body can do. I don't always know how medically true it is, but it's something to consider because not everything is physiological. Some things are also at another level of truth. True. There are many things that we have to accept that is not detected by the five senses. Many things. When the proper context is lost, when the proper context is forgotten, when the proper context is not given, because a context is given, it's not taken. You give it context. When the proper context is not given, the anxiety of the pain immobilizes fear in you like you have never experienced. The anxiety of pain is immobilized. And you sit in it. There's no movement. And you can't get out of it. It's immobilized. It doesn't move. The car's not going anywhere. There's no driver. It's the car standing on bricks. The grass is growing underneath it. The anxiety of pain has immobilized that vehicle completely. And yet you have an expectation that it must go at flipping 1,000 k's down the autobahn. It can't do that. And the more you load your physical body, the more it's excreting, and we're going to be talking about it, the more it's excreting all these chemicals that are, it has an adverse effect on the way that your system functions. It's not meant to have that quantity of chemicals excreted by this magical system that is your body. So the reason why it's so hard for you to take the first step or keep going is because you have trained your unconscious mind to believe that you are not worthy of your dream, that you are not worthy of having a wonderful life, that you are, that you're a failure, that you've missed the boat. Whatever the bloody belief is that you're holding as the red herring for yourself every day. Through negative reinforcement, we learn that when you have fun, you're going to be crying soon. Van lekker lag kom lekker huil. From laughing nicely, from laughing wonderfully, from laughing ecstatically, tears will follow. That's an Afrikaans saying. That's how I grew up. The minute we started enjoying ourselves as children and we started laughing and having fun and just being spontaneous, the parents intervened with, "You're going to be crying soon. You're going to be crying soon. You're a child. What are you supposed to think?" So I ended up in my youth sitting on the roof with my 2 dogs because I didn't want to have anything to do with other humans. When I was 3 or 4, my mother couldn't find me, and then she eventually had the whole neighborhood looking for me, and there I was sitting on the roof with my 2 dogs. There was a special place under the roof where I used to sit. You see, so now, through negative reinforcement, we learn to have fun and enjoy yourself, that it's wrong. And it robs you, that when you have fun and you're enjoying yourself, it robs you of your accountability to be responsible. That's what you believe. I can't enjoy myself because I said to someone the other day, why can't you enjoy yourself while you're at work? You don't have to like it. Nobody likes to work. This is a planet of work. Everything works here. If you don't work, you don't eat. And if you want to transgress that system and not work and still eat, you're going to be wiped by life itself. Life is going to take care of it. Those who are contravening the law is not going to be supported. And there's not going to be no money to support them. It's what happened to me. I was supporting someone who was not contributing at all, and I was not supported to support that person anymore. And I needed to see that in order to change it. I needed to put the oxygen mask I formed firmly over my own nose and mouth. And here I am today. I made it. It was very difficult, but I made it. I was supported. I had the most wonderful support. So since childhood, your mind has been trained through the habit of thinking, feeling, acting, to work in a certain way. You've got neural pathways that's been created. They work in a certain way. That's why you need to work on your inner child, because your neural pathways is established. Those beliefs still operate for you today that you made as a small toddler. I'm not important. I'm insignificant. I don't count. I don't belong here. Whatever the decision was, you live it today. And it's okay to live it, but you need to have the awareness that that's what you're doing, because otherwise you're going to complain all the time, because that small child is running your life. 3-year-old. That 3-year-old is running your life because you haven't dealt with it. And if you haven't dealt with it, you're going to have a 3-year-old that's going to do exactly that to you. Life is like that. So, since childhood, your mind is trained And it's by your family and social conditioning. This is called epigenetics. Just like you have genes in your body, there's epigenetics. That's what's created for you through your environment and through your culture and through your social conditioning that you grew up with. And even more so today with social media. Even more so. Don't know what the kids are going to look like in terms of the epigenetics they're exposed to today, because it's everywhere right here in the lounge. I can be in Venice, I can be in Hawaii, I can be anywhere, I can be in the bush. It's there's no time and space, it's epigenetics in every respect. So we have a learned self-sabotaging behavior that's become a habit, and because we're in denial about it, it just reinforces and cements the habits and the core addictions. Because people do become addicted. They become addicted to a person behaving in a certain way. And the minute that person doesn't behave in that way anymore, they think the worst, and they become completely decrepit because this person must provide them this good feeling, and they're not doing it anymore. So we learn self-sabotaging behavior, and that becomes our habit, and you do it over and over and over and over. And all the modern authors write about the repetition compulsion that was identified by Freud in the 1900s already, and we still don't get it. Repetition compulsions. It's beyond your conscious awareness. It's something that's installed in you in your genes and in your epigenetics. And it's a crazy feedback loop that just continuously operates, whether you like it or not. Because you don't have awareness about it. It's unconscious. Unconscious decisions, unconscious soul contracts. My God, there are millions of books written about it. No one gets it. It was identified by Freud in the early 1900s, maybe even 1800s. He said it's a repetition compulsion. So the experience of negative emotions is the human experience is such that you experience all kinds of different emotions, from happiness to sadness. It's the paradox. Both are true. You can be equally sad when you stand at someone's grave, or you stand at someone's furnace. When you see them on the pyre, and their body is being disintegrated because it needs to make space for another one. It's how it works here. But that which you are continues. But you can also experience ecstatic bliss, all in the same body. And there is something in you that's making the choice. It's this or that. The greater the paradox, the closer you are to the truth, because you need to know who is making that choice. That's what you get to know. That's the self. Who is making the choice? And how do you support the self? How do you support the self to operate? By a minuscule amount of investment, and now you expect that much to be the result? Or do you give that much to it and you don't have any expectations, and your life is just fucking amazing in spite of what's happening out there? Because it's possible. We know it's possible. We live it in our community. But it takes work. Just like Mel Robbins says, you need to make yourself available. And you need to make sure that you are supported, and that you have great discernment when you make that choice, because your life needs to show you the result from day one. Not come back to me for 10 sessions and then you'll feel better. You feel better after the first session that you have with me. You are a different person when you walk out the front door, when you switch your screen off. That's when you know that you've made a good choice, that now you have support, not help. Learn to make good choices, because you are the one who determines what the paradox is going to show you. Not your mother, not your father, not your wife, not your mother, not your father, not your husband, not your children. There's no one to blame. You know, when people introduce each other, they don't even say, this is the person's name. It's my husband or it's my wife. The person doesn't even have a name anymore. I always say, what's the name? Experiencing negative emotions. I'm almost done. I look at all the stuff I had prepared, and I haven't only spoken on 1 page, 2 pages. Good gracious. No, it was a few more, but I thought I'd get through a lot more today. But I suggest that we meet again in 2 weeks and then we continue this discussion, because I think we can all learn something from it. Also me. I'm so grateful for this wonderful guidance that I'm receiving. Experience negative emotions. The human experience is such that you will experience all kinds of different emotions and difficult emotions, from happiness to sadness. And when you notice, each emotion you experience creates a different feeling in your body. It gives you a different mood. And the mood that you find yourself in is the stuff that you have in your cup. Huh? Scientists now know that certain specific emotions will be associated with the biochemical release of certain chemicals within the body. That's the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's a microbiologist, and he's a wonderful teacher. He wrote the book Biology of Belief that I can recommend that you read. It's a hard read, but he's an amazing speaker as well. You also find him on YouTube. So he writes about it. Also, Dr. Greg Braden, which is another wonderful teacher that you find on YouTube. He also talks, and they're both best friends. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, the three of them are best friends. So they all speak the same language, because truth is always consensus. So they are scientists, and they now know that specific emotions will be associated with the biochemical release of certain chemicals within the body. The body is also part of the process, but it's not the reason. Where the mind goes, the body follows. The body doesn't secrete the chemicals first. Your thoughts tell it to. Your thoughts are telling your adrenals to constantly secrete adrenaline, and the adrenaline is what keeps you in the state of fight or flight anxiety, because that becomes the panic. When you have to fight for your life, you're in panic. That's why mothers pick up a whole car to release their child that's trapped underneath. You have superhuman strength constantly flowing through you, and it's not being utilized because you're just here. It's going to affect your body. You're going to get sick. You're going to suffer for it. Please don't do it to yourself. There's always a way. Give yourself a break. We meet again probably the last Sunday of this month. What is it, August? It will probably be the last Sunday of this month, because next week I'm doing a life process, and then I will not be available. And I think we'll meet again on the 28th, I think is the date. So it's normally the first and the last, but this is a 5-week month, so we met today. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm very grateful that you've listened to me. I'm going to offer you just a short meditation to close off with. And it's a book that reads, I close my eyes and see. And that was just something that just grabbed me. And I just said, there's a message in that book for us today. And I want you to now, wherever you're sitting, to close your eyes. And to just be with me for a moment. Just allow a certain level of calm and comfort to settle over you, because it is available. It's just a sense of calm and comfort, because where you are right now, you're safe. And there's a sense of calm and comfort. It's like a warm blanket that someone hangs over you, and it's so comforting and so reassuring. And just give yourself that feeling. Good. Now find your quiet place and just sit or lie there and listen to the sounds around you. Maybe there's traffic, maybe there's machinery. You know, sometimes when I speak to people in New York, there's all these sirens going and there's a constant buzz of traffic. You know, there's distant conversations, your own breathing, your own heartbeat. Just give yourself the time, this moment, and let each sound carry you further and further to your quiet center. There's a place within you that's very still. Persevere. You're not going to know how to go there. Just have the willingness and be available and have the capacity. Capacity means that, yes, okay, I don't know it, but there is a place in me that represents the stillness, and I'm willing to accept that. So now imagine, because our imagination is the key that leads us into all these different dimensions, that we experience ourselves as a multifaceted being. So I want you now to find yourself walking in the country. You really feel like you've been walking, you're tired, and you have a vast weight chained to you. Notice how you feel as you drag it along. It's like you can hear the chain. You know, the chain makes a noise. It's like that noise. And you feel this weight that you're dragging. Just feel it. Where is it attached? By what sort of chain? Who chained it to you? Is it the internalized parent? Is it the code of life? Or is it the habit? Is it the denial? Is it the whole lifetimes of negative emotions? Now I want you to find a way, because there's always a way. Find a way of unloosening this weight. Can you do it yourself, or see is there support? Can you see there's support there for you to get rid of this weight? How do you now dispose of the weight? Find a way to utterly destroy it, burn it, singe it, lacerate it, I don't know, laser it, chop it up, get rid of it. Just, you've got the support, get rid of it. Puppies? No. Great. Chop it. Bury it. Burn it. Send it into the cosmos. Send it into the earth. Destroy it. Now stand back. Straight. Look up. Walk free. You feel this. It's off. You can feel it. It's that thing is gone. It's off. Stand up straight. Walk free. How does it feel? Now hold. Let this experience of liberation, of freedom, hold it with you. Hold it. Let it settle into your body. Let it be the reassurance. Let it be the appreciation. Reassurance that you support it. Appreciation of what you can do, what can be done. And leave it. And come back into your everyday world, into your every moment consciousness. Here with me now. And then stretch your body like a stretch. Like a good stretch. And then you rub your face a bit. Like when you wake up, you know. And you give yourself the promise of awareness. And you open your eyes. Let your eyes see the truth of your life. That you don't need to subject yourself to all this negativity. And I'm not saying that you must become a Duracell bunny that just runs around, ding, 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 ding. No. But cancel those negative thoughts and give yourself something else, something good to occupy yourself with. See the good things in your life. If life gives you opportunities, that's what it means, a port to unity. Take that opportunity. It's going to lead you to another and another and another. Take the passivity out of your life, the passive aggression, the wanting to do nothing. Refuse that feeling. Give yourself the sense of vitality and feel life again. Feel how wonderful it is to have the gift of life, to have this body that serves you so beautifully. It was wonderful to sit here with you today. It's exactly past. I can't see so well without my glasses, but it was fabulous to share this space with you. And thank you to you that's come to make an appointment with me and sit here with me this morning. I love cheering with you. Bye. Have a lovely Sunday, everyone.